What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to give you my thoughts as a professional player on the Anta Kai 2. So let's get straight into it. With the retail price, they come in at 140 euros or dollars, which is a pretty decent price in today's market for a second signature shoe. I got my pair from Kicks and you can find an affiliate link in the description box down below if you want to copy yours as well. For the performance categories, let's start with traction. It's a very nice setup. We've got a full-length rubber setup with aggressive and strategically placed grip patterns. The patterns also move up on the medial and lateral side, and that's also the reason why I put the Kyrie 2 here in the background, because these also had that nice grip that moved up all over the midsole and on top of the midsole. So these kind of remind me a little bit of that setup on the old Nike Kyries, which is a nice touch, and it just gives you a very good multi-directional coverage. In my opinion, it's a perfect setup for quick and shifty guards who really play on their forefoot a lot and who rely on quick changes of direction. The compound of the rubber is also extremely durable. It's very thick, it's hard to move, which is also a nice thing for 140 euros or dollars, because a lot of times you get just a very soft rubber that only works indoors. And I think it's nice that Anta tried to give us a shoe that can be worn indoors and outdoors, just from a traction and rubber standpoint. The grip itself is actually also very good. I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10 rating, simply because it works indoors, it works outdoors. I didn't have any issues with dust pickup, and as I said, it has a very good multi-directional coverage. The cushioning setup is a little bit of a disappointment for me, because I really like the setup in the ones. I have them up there as well. It's still the same foam, full length Nitro Edge foam, but the big difference, and what also makes for the performance difference, is that here on the Anta Kai 2 it's fully caged, and on the Anta Kai 1 it was exposed on the medial side of the shoe. So it just had more compression, a little bit more impact protection, and more bounce, or actually way more bounce after breaking them in. I really like this setup. It was like a spring plate on the Anta Kai 1, and I enjoyed it a lot because it was not too high in the front, but had a lot of impact protection, foam and comfort in the heel area. And here it's just a more minimalistic setup. It feels more like a Kyrie shoe too, I have to say, because the ones did feel like they had a little bit too much cushioning for what I was used to from the Kyrie line from Nike. So here they kind of went back into that direction as well, just like with the coverage on the side of the midsole or the traction pattern here. It's a lower to the ground setup. You have just enough impact protection, but it's definitely a setup for traditional guards or traditional guard-like playstyles. So if you're a really big guy and you need a lot of impact protection, you put a lot of force into the shoe and into the ground, these might not be the best option for you, simply because they don't have the best amount of impact protection. The insole is relatively basic. It's a little bit thicker than from other brands, so it also adds a little bit more stepping comfort. The stroller board is also very nice, allows for a lot of compression. So comfort is definitely there, but it's not off the charts like it was on the Anta Kai 1. My rating for the cushioning setup would probably be like a 7.5 out of 10. I think I had the ones at an 8.5 or a 9. I can't fully remember anymore. The support features are definitely top tier yet again. They were on the ones and they are here again. We've got a TPU torsion plate. It's top loaded. You can actually see it if you take out the insole, so it's right underneath that stroller board. It's actually got a good amount of size as well, and if you try to flex them, you can see they just flex in the forefoot, and the midfoot here is perfectly stable. We've got a substantial heel counter. You can't really see it that well because there's just a lot of detailing and design. By the way, the design of the shoe is just absolutely amazing. A lot of storytelling going on there, and you don't really see that as much anymore. And I think you can really see Kyrie's influence there, and also what Anta is trying to do. And overall, just all of that for 140 euros or dollars is just very good touch and very good value for money as well. We have some breaks in the rubber outsole as well that allow for more flex. You could see that we have this insane amount of flex in the toe area, and also these patterns here that go up on the side of the shoe, on the lateral side, they allow for some flex in the toe area especially. And something else we have is some nylon lace cables that go down the side of the shoe. And one thing I actually had to do on my right pair is cut through one of these cables, because it was pressing exactly into the area where my foot is wide, and it just kept on hurting, and I couldn't lace them properly, so I also couldn't really test them properly to see if the lacing system works. And I decided to just cut through it because the pieces are not connected within each other. So if I just cut out one, it doesn't impact the performance or the support of the others. And it actually worked quite well. And since I did that, the shoes have fit me way better. And I could actually hoop in them. I didn't do it on the left shoe, I just did it on the right shoe. So just a heads up, if you have wide feet like me, these fit very snug, not as wide as the Kai ones. Unfortunately, I would have liked them to keep the same fit. From a length perspective, they're pretty much the same length, maybe a tiny little bit longer, and the width is just a little bit more narrow, but it's essentially also more narrow because we have those flywire-like cables that go down the side and that can just cut into certain areas of your feet if they are wide in that specific area. The materials come down a little bit to the colorways. The first colorways they released had leather materials only, and because I'm vegan, I don't use any animal products, so I don't eat meat or milk or eggs or whatever, just anything that comes from animals. And I decided to also implement that in the rest of my life, so I don't use animal products like leather. Essentially, that's just their skin. So I didn't get the chance to test them because I didn't want to wear them. And now there's some colorways being released with all synthetic uppers. It's kind of like a textile material and it's pretty soft. It breaks in nicely. I can't compare it with the leather colorway, so maybe if some of you have had a leather colorway and a synthetic colorway, you can tell me if there's any performance differences. Probably from just a feeling standpoint, these are a little bit more breathable and the leather is less breathable, but probably slightly more supportive. Might also take a little bit more time to break in. I think I watched Nightwing's review and he said that especially the toe box kind of took some time to break in. The tongue here has a synthetic leather overlay and there is some padding on the shoe, but it's not as excessive as it was on the Kai ones. As I said, these are way more minimalistic and don't feel as plush and as comfortable as the Kai ones were. Just more lower to the ground and essentially a little bit lighter as well. I put them on a scale. They come in both for size 14 and the Kai 2 come in lighter than the Anta Kai 1. I think that comes down to certain areas where they just cut some extra padding and some extra material. We also don't have the midfoot strap anymore. And one thing I noticed was that my laces, I think it was the first time that I wore them, that little clip at the end that holds them together, that went off on the right side. So I had to tie a knot there. Kind of, I don't know, it annoys me a lot because it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, but I mean, it's not really that big of a deal if it happens. By the way, also, if you're wondering what happened with my eye, where there's this little plaster on here, we had a game yesterday and I got hit by an elbow and I had a cut, a wound, and had to go to the emergency room. It had to be glued back together and should be good after 5 days again. So it's no big deal, essentially. Also doesn't really hurt that much, but my eye is a little bit purple and yellow. So if you can see that, I'm sorry about that. Now back to these shoes, there's, as I said, a lot of details, a lot of cool coloring on the upper as well, and the performance is actually also quite decent. And overall, I did really enjoy them. For the last part of the video, where do they come in on my 0 to book 1 scale? I'd probably go somewhere between an 8 or an 8.5 out of book. Or out of book ones, simply because the fit isn't the best for me and I would have liked a tiny little bit more cushioning in the heel. But I think if you're a very shifty guard who likes low to the ground setup, who enjoyed the older carry setups as well, these could be a terrific option for you. Also, there's just so many options, colorway options, material options available. It's just a very nice basketball shoe for a good retail price as well. And now with all that being said, after I've given my review to you, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, comment your thoughts, either on my review, something I can improve, something you like, some shoes you want to see me review, or your thoughts on the Anta Kai 2 if you've hooped in them. And if you've done all that and you still want to see more of my content, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel. Have a good one and see you next time.